The cowboy found the girl at dawn, sitting alone near a dry arroyo where coyotes had cried all night. She was thin, barefoot, and wrapped in a torn blanket too large for her small shoulders. She did not cry. She only watched him with careful, steady eyes. He dismounted slowly, hands open, knowing fear traveled faster than words on the frontier. The girl flinched when his horse snorted, but she did not run. Dust clung to her hair and her braids were uneven, as if tied by trembling hands days ago. He offered water first. She drank carefully as though each sip must be earned. When he offered jerky, she hesitated, then accepted with a nod that felt older than her years. He asked her name. She answered in Apache, soft and guarded, like a secret. The cowboy understood none of the words, but he understood the loneliness in her voice. He told her his name anyway, speaking gently as if names themselves could build shelter. She listened, eyes following his mouth. I'm memorizing sounds without trusting meaning yet. Tracks nearby told a hard story. Broken wagon marks, hurried footsteps, and signs of conflict. Someone had fled. Someone had not returned. The cowboy had seen this before on the plains, where loss left no marker except silence and abandoned children. He could not leave her. The land would finish what abandonment had started. He lifted her onto his horse carefully, wrapping his coat around her shoulders. She stiffened at first, then relaxed when she realized he would not drop her. The ride back to his ranch was slow. He spoke the whole way, not expecting answers. He spoke of the sky, the weather, the horses, anything to keep the quiet from swallowing them both. She leaned against him, exhausted, trusting sleep before trust itself. At the ranch, he gave her water to wash and clean clothes that once belonged to a neighbor's daughter. She examined everything carefully as if looking for traps in kindness. When he showed her a bed, she touched it first, unsure it was real. That night she cried quietly, thinking he slept. He stayed awake, staring at the ceiling, listening to grief find its voice. He did not interrupt it. Some pains needed space to breathe before they could heal. Days passed and routines formed. She followed him everywhere, learning the names of animals in broken English and Apache. He learned her silences, the way her shoulders tightened at raised voices, the way she relaxed when he hummed while fixing fences. She grew stronger with food and safety. Her laughter came unexpectedly, like rain after drought. Still, sometimes she stared toward the horizon, as if waiting for something that might never return. He never asked questions she wasn't ready to answer. The townspeople noticed. Some frowned, some whispered. Others warned him about trouble, about differences, about the past. He listened politely and ignored them all. He had buried enough people to know that doing right mattered more than doing easy. A trader passing through stopped suddenly at the sight of the girl. His face changed color and he removed his hat. He asked the cowboy where she had come from. The girl stepped back, fear flashing like lightning. The trader spoke carefully. He said the child belonged to an Apache widow known across the region, a woman of strength and pride who had disappeared months ago after conflict near the borderlands. Many believed her dead. The girl's name confirmed it. The cowboy felt the weight of the words settle heavily. That night, the girl finally spoke more. In broken phrases, gestures, and tears, she told of flight, of hiding, of her mother pushing her away to save her, promising to return. Weeks later, riders appeared at the edge of the ranch. The girl saw them first and froze. Among them rode a woman whose presence seemed to quiet the land itself. She sat tall despite exhaustion, her eyes sharp, her posture unbroken. The girl ran before fear could stop her. The woman dismounted and fell to her knees as they collided, holding each other like survivors clinging to proof of life. The cowboy stood back, giving space to a reunion forged through pain and endurance. The widow's gaze eventually turned to him. It held gratitude, caution, and an unspoken question. He answered it simply, saying the child had been safe, fed, and loved. The woman nodded, understanding that love did not always require blood. They stayed for days. Stories were shared slowly, carefully. The widow spoke of loss, betrayal, and survival. The cowboy spoke of loneliness, of quiet years after burying his own family, of a ranch that had become too silent. Trust grew like grass after fire, tentative but real. The girl moved easily between them now, laughter returning fully. She slept without fear for the first time since being lost, knowing both worlds had not abandoned her. When the widow prepared to leave, the girl clung to the cowboy, torn. The widow watched closely, then surprised him by speaking softly. She said the child had found another home, and homes could be shared rather than stolen. Time passed. The widow returned often. Friendship deepened into something quieter and stronger than passion. Respect came first, then understanding. The land watched as two wounded lives learned to stand together without erasing who they had been. The girl grew, surrounded by stories from both heritages. She learned strength from her mother, steadiness from the cowboy, and kindness from the space between them. The ranch no longer felt empty. It felt alive, balanced, and whole. Years later, people would speak of that place as something rare on the frontier. A home built not by ownership or fear, but by choice. A place where a lost child was not taken, but protected, until truth found its way back. And the cowboy would always remember the morning he found a silent girl by a dry arroyo, not knowing that saving one life would quietly give his own a new beginning.